But how much would you be willing to give up to protect your family? Would you trade your personal liberty for your personal safety? That's the trade-off people in one apartment complex in San Francisco are already facing. A trade-off that could be the wave of the future. Over the hill from the heart of San Francisco lies one of this beautiful city's few blemishes.
586 Richland.
A dangerous neighborhood that looks the same as too many others all over America.
10-4.
Captain, I get the feeling you don't like the fact that we're roaming around here in the middle of the night, huh? I mean, is it dangerous here?
Apprehensive. Very apprehensive. That's what
it's Saturday night at 2 a.m. And for Captain Harlan Wilson, it's business as usual in the Sunnydale housing projects. How dangerous is it here on a given night?
Just had a homicide a little while ago.
3 out of 14, Edward.
For years, the symbol of the drug-driven violence that seized this community was just up the block at the notorious Geneva Towers, two low-income high-rise buildings where drug dealers rule.
You could not go out into the hallway. Go out in the hallway, no chance. Because you were terrified, you were terrorized, you were involved. There were shootings in the hallways.
Bodies was coming out of the windows.
No.
Dead people.
For the 1,000 or more residents of the towers, the place they had to call home was more like a living nightmare. Did you want to move out of here, and could you financially?
No, most definitely. I wanted to move as far away from Geneva Towers as possible.
Police officers will go some places where angels fear to tread. We didn't even want to tread into the towers.
So if even the cops wouldn't go in, who would? This man, Eli Gray.
I just want to thank you.
Don't be fooled by this mild-mannered organist at the St. Mark's Institutional Baptist Church. He's the man the government brought in at taxpayers' expense to get the thugs out of Geneva Towers.
Now we've got a clean lobby, we've got...
His solution? Do something the police couldn't do.
Lock it down. Close the doors and say, you don't have business to see people in here, you don't come in the towers.
To lock it down, Gray oversaw the building of a 10-foot-high security fence that now surrounds the towers. Today, tenants are forced to enter through a single security room. Guests must sign in, and people who appear suspicious are frisked.
Is this bulletproof glass?
That's bulletproof glass.
Robert, best one.
And what did you set up here?
This is our monitor system, that closed-circuit TV system that's set up so that we can monitor the hallways.
Excuse me, you're not supposed to play ball in the hallway, thank you.
We can monitor the garage areas where the vehicles are parked, and we can monitor the exterior of the building.
But probably the key change at Geneva Towers, and certainly the most controversial, was the force of 60 armed guards Gray recruited and trained.
Fourth floor, blue building.
The guards admit they carry a lot more firepower than most security, but they say it's needed because some of the thugs here have even more. So far, they've confiscated Uzis, Tech-9s, .357 Magnums, and even a live grenade.
They just have little gunfights for the past 5 drive-by shootings.
Gray says that in this environment, the only way his guards can keep in control is to stay on top of the bad element.
Once we started to patrol the hallways, and we were constantly walking up on them, constantly, every time they turned, there was security.
I feel like it is San Quentin.
But for some residents, the massive show of force has been too much. They say the towers may be safer now, but it certainly doesn't feel like home.
You shouldn't have to feel like you're locked in or feel like you're in prison in your own home.
How would you like walking into your apartment building, the guards are just staring at you, just right in, piercing your eyes? That's harassment to people.
But they're trying to protect you. They're trying to keep the bad elements out.
Well, I don't know about that kind of, it appears to me and others that they're trying to keep us locked in.
In fact, residents have filed 3 civil suits against Gray and his guards for abusive behavior to residents. Have you ever ended up in fights with residents?
Absolutely.
Yes, we have.
Yes.
There's an old saying, you have to break a few eggs to make an omelet. Is that your recipe?
No. To take this place over, to establish the order, we had to deal with individuals accordingly, which was apprehending them, arresting them, and turning them over to the police. And if that's what you consider breaking eggs, then yes, we've broken a few eggs to make the omelet.
And when I open the door, they rush.
Did they ask if they could come in?
No.
It was 2 a.m., and Shirley Lee, a longtime resident of Geneva Towers, found herself face-to-face with security guards and the San Francisco police.
And I'm looking down the barrel of 357s. Not one, not two, not three. All of them had guns.
Drawn.
And they were drawn. And they went through my house. They searched my closets. They searched my bedrooms. They went up under the beds and looked everywhere looking for a man.
Lee says she's just thankful that her grandson wasn't there that night. Nevertheless, she doesn't sleep as well ever since the police and guards burst in.
I wouldn't say we burst in.
Gray says his men were chasing a robbery suspect who was seen on the surveillance monitors outside Lee's door.
If I were that individual, I would probably find it easier to sleep at night knowing that someone is out there looking out for my welfare. Yes, sorry, this is Levi. Security near the tower.
While we were at the towers, there was a shooting just 3 blocks away.
Shooting at Sunnydale and Hahn.
In the old days, the suspects might have come here. But today, Gray and his guards made sure they stayed away.
The guys are dispersed. They're gone.
And while critics charge that crime has just been pushed up the block, one resident told us, you only need to see kids playing where drug dealers used to have their gun battles to be convinced the changes are worth it. Police statistics agree. They show a remarkable drop in crime at the towers. Assaults with a deadly weapon are down 93%, and shootings have been cut in half. So the kids can actually play out here now.
Sure they can. Oh, yeah. We have football teams, baseball teams,
baseball, softball, champions, actually.
and champions, and they win, too.
On this day, Geneva Towers' new youth baseball team won the city championship.
1, 2, 3.
What rights are you willing to give up in order to have a safe environment here?
I don't think that we are actually giving up rights. Because nowadays, I don't think nothing, no means, no measure that I would want to take to be safe.
You mean you'll do anything to be safe?
Sure.
I hate this impression that we are fighting against having a safe, decent place to live. This is not true.
The residents who protest the changes here say the issue isn't whether they want less crime, but whether the guards treat them like criminals. There are other apartment buildings in which you buzz in to get in. And they have guards sometimes.
But they don't have, they're not infested with guards. Apparently here they're saying that the tenants are so criminally inclined, the element is so bad until they got to treat this like it's the streets.
We may be poor, we may be underclass, if you want to call it, but we have brains, we have intelligence, most of all, we have feelings. And I would love for my children to have the freedom, the decent human beings that they are, to come and go in my home. We have been through a lot.
Truthfully, would you want to live here?
No. I would never put myself in a situation where I'd have to live here. I'm a responsible, respectable, productive member of society. Therefore, I don't need public assistance. I can stand on my own.
You don't have much respect for the people who do have to live here.
Oh, I have a lot of respect for the people who do have to live here because they've put up with a lot. There you go.
We're not a bunch of brute, forceful people. We're not pushing ourselves on anyone. We're not trying to intimidate anyone to the point that they're afraid of us.
You know, you make it sound like your guards are choir boys and like they don't do anything wrong.
No, we do what we have to do to make things better at Geneva Towers, but we don't infringe upon anybody's rights.
These are very sad memories of young boys that I knew around here that ended up dying unnecessarily.
Before we left the towers, Shirley Lee showed us a graphic reminder of why the guards need to be here.
He was killed in a drive-by shooting. Someone shot him, just drove by and shot him. It's sad because I know most of the young boys here. He lived here also, and he's dead.
Lee says she feels caught right in the middle of this dilemma that's becoming more common for many American families. Either she lives with armed drug dealers or armed police and security, like the ones who burst into her home.
That's the question I've been asking myself ever since that happened to me. Should I feel lucky or should I feel unlucky about what happened to me? At that time, I did not feel lucky. I felt bad.
Does it seem right to you that you have to live in an ultra-secure apartment?
That's the price I have to pay for being low income and not having the means to live somewhere that is secure, where I don't have to have guards walking around.
I think these days are over.
Hopefully. I hope they are. I hope they are.
What's happened at Geneva Towers is being studied by the government and could eventually be tried elsewhere. But the issue of privacy isn't the only concern. There's the cost. The same setup for residents in Chicago's public housing alone could run $180 million the first year. Crime may not pay, but it's expensive.